Adjourn.
Second.
Oh,
Got my attention.
You gotta actually come into
oh,
session.
I'm sorry.
Oh, did I read that?
You don't pull that stuff with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was ready to second it.
Yeah, me too. Okay. We will open this meeting of May 29th, 2014. Let the record show that Selectman Scanlon is on his way. As everybody know, he works, so he comes a little bit late. Right now, I will make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, personnel. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. And we're back.
All right, I make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public as they pertain to personnel permanently and as they pertain to contractual issues till the matters are resolved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Yes.
Can somebody open up the door downstairs and let our next
Got it?
Sure.
person available?
Let in the crowd.
Yeah.
Somebody down there.
Well, her appointment is at 5:30.
Nope, she's not down there. She's nowhere to be seen. I saw her leave.
And I didn't want you to think I was texting during,
No, you were.
but she said, "I'm going to go home. Do I have time to go home?" I said, yes.
WRTA is canceled tonight, right?
Yes, but we should enlighten everyone.
Yes, but they're not coming.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just have Jane.
Awesome. Next. How's everybody doing out there in the crowd tonight?
So we don't have, Jane is not here?
She's not? She is not here. Well, she's hiding.
I know this.
All right. We have a letter from the Tilton Zoning Board for pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 673:13. I hereby request that you terminate Zoning Board of Adjustment alternate member Thomas Gallant by reason of extended absenteeism and his pending relocation to the state of Maine. 2, this action will have no effect on the performance of the board, which enjoys 5 full-time members and 1 active alternate.
Has the alternate been notified?
I don't know, and so I'm bringing it up to the board. We just received this today. I'd really like to have an opportunity to someone talk, or I can talk to the,
We should hear from the alternate.
we should hear
The
from the
member.
alternate.
Yep, before you make a decision.
When was the last time you attended a meeting?
Don't know.
Long time. It's been ill.
My knowledge of the situation would indicate that he would not be available anytime soon to fulfill his duties.
We should confirm that.
Right.
Certainly, we should give him the opportunity to confirm it.
I would say we need to confirm that.
He's earned that. And then some.
Would you mind calling him?
I'll be glad to. Be glad to. We have a list of, I'll just pass this around so everybody can peruse it. And on 16 Prospect Street, this is the listing checklist. Just look through it to make sure that it's okay. And take a look at it, and we'll get back to Greg on it.
Start with you.
I've driven by and seen all sorts of work, but I am loath to go inside of the house because last time I went, they have mold or mildew or something, and I'm
It's,
extremely allergic.
I will give you,
Spent days in bed.
while we're talking about that, I will give you an update. I went there this morning. They have filled 3 dumpsters so far.
Big
and
dumpsters.
another one's coming tomorrow. They are
How's it
completely...
looking in there?
The rooms are completely emptied. with the exception of some things that they are taking with them in the living room. They're starting, they
Hey,
have
who?
a half, the contractor people. They have a half of room upstairs, second floor, to finish, and they're starting on the basement. All the other rooms are broom-ready.
Wow.
The rugs are up. It's beautiful hardwood
Have they
underneath.
been wearing masks and whatever
Yes.
in there? Yeah.
There is one room opposite the kitchen where it's very, one wall is mold. But other than that, I don't see anything, any visible, except, I'm sure, down in the
How
basement.
about the grounds? Did they pick up all the bikes and
Not yet.
Not
The
yet.
grounds is at but
at the end?
you walk into the house, if you see them there, just take a walk in, it's completely, it's broom swept in all of the rooms, each one, and it's empty.
That wood stove is still in the living room?
Yes,
Good.
yep. So, letter from the Highway Department, DOT, Highway Safety Agency, saying that we were getting reimbursed for his chief's request for grant money. Other than that,
What about the tree on 16 Prospect Street? Has that happened yet?
no, Joyce is working on,
Is it far from Northfield?
right, she's getting an estimate on somebody to remove that, and then hopefully get access by the abutter
Yeah.
to take that.
I'm guessing they're going to be anxious to have it
Right.
taken out.
We're hoping that the abutter on the left will allow us to take out the appliances, because there's when you come out the door, it steps up about 2.5 feet, unless you have a wooden ramp there, it would probably be okay, and then it's like hot tub on the side of the house that you can access. But until you get that spot there, it's be iffy. But it's starting to look really nice. So that's
Good to see activity there.
that. I have had several complaints, and I've answered Joyce's phone today again, and got another complaint, as I said earlier, but for the general public, so they know I brought it up. I've probably got at least 10 or 11 complaints on the quality of the bags, recycling bags, that they're ripping when they go to close it up. It's not the amount,
All the strings.
the pull of strings that's ripping from the purple plastic around the top, and they're, and the original complaint that everybody has complained about is they don't fit in a 30-gallon. They're supposed to be 30-gallon, they don't fit in a 30-gallon.
There's no government mandated standard for the sizes of those bags.
But
But when they say they're supposed to be like a 33-gallon bag, that means that bag is supposed to hold 33 gallons.
Oh, for
Right.
what?
Whatever, water, I don't know.
Well, they
whatever.
assured me that if you filled that up with packing peanuts, it would hold 30 gallons worth of packing peanuts.
well, we haven't,
So they haven't lied.
Of course they have. I don't believe it holds 33 gallons.
It's a
I can't
30-gallon bag.
we've been 1 year with this, just about 1 year. I have not got as many complaints in the last 11 months as I have in the last 2 weeks. So I'm wondering if this is just a bad batch that's coming out, or, because all of a sudden, it's just everywhere. I've broken a bag.
The 15-gallon bags don't fit into 13-gallon kitchen containers. Go figure.
Yeah, but, I have a 30-gallon, that's what I buy. And I went to close it, it had one bag in it today. I went to tie it, and it ripped around the
Well, I'll be
rim.
speaking with Sarah Bernier about the issue that we discussed earlier, and I will bring this to her attention. What I tell people
Write a letter to her?
is to, there is an 800 number printed on each and every one of those bags.
To call.
And that number will get you to a person that you can talk to about the issue.
Okay.
Maybe we should look at bidding that out.
We have a contract. I was asking Tim, he's going to get me the information of when the contract
When
is up.
it's up.
But if we
Because
have a faulty product,
We've had very good luck with their work administratively. The bags have been an issue.
except we have a purveyor that's, way behind.
Does somebody have one of the bags that isn't in real nasty shape,
That rips?
that rips?
No, because you know what I did? I ended up taking mine and bringing it up and tying it with just the plastic instead of the strap, and then I let it go, and they took it.
I line my trash can with a white bag, pull the white bag out with the purple bag in it, tie the purple bag in the white bag, and then dump it out on the ground, and I don't have any more problems, but it's ridiculous I have to do that.
Well, that's exactly
I
what I
use a
did.
black bag. I line my kitchen can with a black bag, bring it out, put it inside the purple bag. Never had any problems. And I don't tie the top, but I put them at the curb in the container. So I haven't had any issues.
It would be nice to get one of the defective ones so we can show them.
So they're always fully
If they're in a can, Pat, you don't need to
don't-
tie the top.
Okay, I won't tie
might
the
be-
top.
Purple bag.
As long as it's in a purple bag.
I just
Or even
put
if-
white bags in the
Well, even
purple
if somebody
bag.
can cut the top
Two
off
of them.
and give them the buck and a
I
half.
put black bags in the
Oh, I
purple
see what
bag.
you mean.
Same
Down.
thing.
Take a
All right.
razor blade and just cut
Cut
the
off the
clean top
garbage?
As long
part.
as it's inside the
We'll give 'em a
purple
fresh
bag,
one.
it doesn't need to be snugged up.
Sure.
If you're only bringing the bags to the curb, I would suggest some form of tying, because animals could get in them, or the wind could blow them over, and then you got garbage all over the ground. That's not good for the homeowners or anybody else. And I know that the people from Bestway is not going to pick up garbage on the ground.
Right. All right, so that's it for bags. Jane, I apologize profusely.
I'm an elderly person, I need to be in bed before dark, so, it's very hard, I mean, to sit downstairs.
When you come to my house and watch TV tonight, I'll remind you of that, okay?
It's dark.
Why don't you come up and speak to the board?
Say that.
Do you need a cane, or
Walker.
do
Oh, I left mine in the car.
you need an amplifier? And
I don't think so.
all right.
I'm here, under the direction of the planning board, so I'm here as a...
Speak into the mic, okay?
I'm here as a representative of the planning board.
Okay.
As a result of our meeting the other night. Came to you several weeks ago, and I asked if we could have a process by which we dealt with intent to cuts. You agreed to that. We have that in progress right now. Since that time, we've had three, well, the one that I had brought to your attention that night, plus two additional ones. On one of those, the logger is refusing to file a conditional use permit. He's absolutely refusing. He's saying it's illegal. The third one has been sent a letter, because Joyce has been sending letters to the loggers telling them what should be done and how to file it. We had Joyce check with our lawyers, the free service that
The
local government.
local government,
Yes.
right.
And because in the RSA, it states that towns cannot interfere with forestry in that particular area. My personal opinion, and if I had to argue this in court, my argument would be that we cannot interfere with Jane Alden going out on Jane Alden's property and cutting down Jane Alden's trees. That's how I interpret it. However, other people, I guess, are saying we can't do it even if logging companies are going in and doing it. And I would question that. But the reason I'm here tonight is that we need to get a definitive answer on whether or not what we're doing in requiring a conditional use permit is legal or not legal.
We did.
So clarification, you mean?
We only got it from the municipal
We got it from an attorney at the Municipal
Yes.
Association.
Correct.
And that attorney, he's been a selectman, he's very active in his community.
So
I guess our concern as a board is that if this logger continues to say he is to refuse to do it, and saying that what we are doing is illegal, that we're opening ourselves up to some consequences. And are we on safe ground by using one opinion from one attorney, the free advice one?
So are you asking
We're asking
on
if
behalf of the
On
planning
behalf of
board?
the planning board, if we could have an attorney, for instance, Dan Crean, who's experienced in this area, take a look at that and tell us whether we are within our
Give
rights
us
to
in
do
his-
what we're doing.
Give us his
Exactly.
opinion.
Exactly.
I don't think we need that. It's two different RSAs. In one RSA, they changed the language a couple of years ago, and it ends that you can't interfere with logging. But we're not interfering with the logging. The town of Tilton doesn't care how many trees he cuts down, as long as it's on the intent to cut. And then all he has to do, if he's going to cut
Telling
more...
him that he can't cut until he gets a conditional use permit because there are wetlands there, and that's how our
No,
ordinance
that's not what we're
reads.
telling him. So let me finish. There is another RSA that allows us to create the wetlands ordinance we did.
Correct.
So we're telling this logger, you can't go in the wetlands with your activity. And it doesn't matter if the activity is logging or agriculture, it's the same. He can cut trees all he wants, anywhere he wants on that property, as long as it's on the intent to cut, and as long as he doesn't go in the wetlands. So we're not interfering with his logging, at all.
But in each of the 3 cases that we have, they're going into the wetlands.
Well, we don't know about the one on 132. There are two brooks on the property, but we don't know if he's going in the wetlands, and I think our ordinance isn't it within 100 feet? It's 20 for logging? I thought it was more for logging.
I thought it was just, I don't know.
But at any rate, as long as he stays away from the brooks, he can log all he wants. And we don't have any indication from him that he is going across the brooks or in the wetlands.
Good. Now you have a situation here where there is some uncertainty within the planning board on what is the correct practice to do. And they're coming to the Board of Selectmen to say, we'd like to go to your town council who's experienced in this and get a clarification. Do we deny the planning board the right to go for clarification in that? I think that,
Well, we already have a clarification from an attorney, whether he's with a local government center or a private firm. He is an attorney.
So you're telling me no, we
And
cannot?
that makes him infallible.
I'm telling you, my opinion is, we don't
That's a
need
joke, Pat.
is not to spend any more money on attorney. I mean, we could go out and get a dozen attorney opinions, and they may not all be the same.
I'm aware of that.
But if you read the RSA, it's very clear.
I think it's what
I don't think it's clear at all.
what the planning board, if you're acting on behalf of the planning board, and the planning board is saying, you don't think that it's very clear right now, and you want a clarification, further clarification,
We don't
and
want to
ask
put
for...
the town in jeopardy. Now, if, as selectmen, you feel that by getting an opinion from the attorney that we've gotten an opinion from, that we're on safe ground, then I will take that back to the planning board, and there won't be an issue.
So this conditional use permit that the individual doesn't want to sign, what does that give him? If you give him a conditional use permit, does that mean he can go across the wetlands?
You can cross the wetlands to get to the
With certain criteria.
And they have to restore the wetlands back to the,
Right.
Protect it and destroy,
well, he's saying if he's not crossing the wetlands, is that correct?
No, he's not saying that.
No, he's not saying that.
He hasn't said either way.
You have to use good practice.
So we're waiting to see if he files a
Who knows if he does
notification with the Department of Environmental Services, because he'll have to do that.
Yes.
And if he files that, now there's an indication he's crossing wetlands, because he wouldn't have to file it if he didn't.
We can inspect the area when they're cutting it?
The health officer can go in there. If there is any suspicion that he is polluting the brook, the health officer can go there.
Didn't Joyce check with LGC and get a ruling on that the health officer could not do that?
No.
How about code enforcement?
That traditionally,
Code
I
enforcement
believe it's
can't.
the forestry department that does that.
Right.
They go out, they send a forest ranger out, they go out and they check it. And that's why there's an issue up on School Street now.
Actually, it's not really an issue anymore, because I talked to the forestry guy, and he said he actually told him what they had to implement, they implemented it, and he went away. So with him, there is no issue,
So the issue has been dealt with.
by him. Correct,
But he got a conditional use permit
correct.
because of that.
It was prior to that, he got the conditional use for the wetland
You get a lot out of it.
crossing. He got that prior to start.
So I really don't, I don't think the issue here is our interpretation of the RSA. I think the issue here is the planning board is asking for further interpretation of the RSA by a legal representation.
Planning board doesn't feel that the legal representation that they checked with is reliable?
It's free advice.
It's not really free
It's
advice.
not free
You're paying
advice. We pay for that
We're a
service.
member of the
We pay a lot of
municipal
money for it.
association.
But it's
It's the same retainer we'd pay.
It's not $2.25 an hour, no.
Attorney on retainer.
We can also use the same argument, and many times before, we have used that argument, that you could ask the same question to this, a different person could ask the exact same question and get
Get a
an
different
entirely,
answer. Yes, I-
from the same person,
So,
from the same
I think
person.
I just stated that.
Right.
But has the planning board seen the conclusion that the attorney came to? Have they actually seen his opinion and read it?
Yes, we have. Laurie has a copy of it, and
Wow.
we discussed it.
So you've discussed it, and you
And you
still
still
want,
question it?
and you still want further
Well,
clarification?
We just really aren't comfortable with that one answer.
Okay.
A yes or no answer is sufficient. If you're comfortable as a board of selectmen, that's fine.
I'm not familiar with that RSA that you're talking about, or two RSAs that you're talking about. So I would err on the side of caution to make sure that you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and go the legal route and say, this is our professional opinion, and now you're on certain ground, and you can sit there and say, for everyone in the future, do it for this. I think it's an hour's worth of time with the lawyer is short money to do that. However, I'm not
It'd be easier
astute in that area.
The planning board part, if we didn't have to go through it.
But the planning board isn't the enforcement authority. So if there's any enforcement of this, it falls to the Board of Selectmen or their enforcement officer.
Could we repose the question to the attorney?
To which attorney?
The attorney or the local government center to find that there is a question whether
That
RSA
question was simple, and it was posed very clearly. Does anybody have a
didn't
copy
see
of
it.
it here?
See,
Over there. Oh, you mean the attorney? No.
Paul Sanderson's response to us.
no, we don't know about that, Catherine. It's you, being on the planning board, know about that. We
No,
don't.
I know it isn't. I got a copy from Joyce.
Well, you,
I have no copy.
again, you have a copy of it because you're planning for it.
No,
We
it's
don't.
not why I have a copy of it.
We don't have a
I
copy
have
of
a
it.
copy of it because Al and I were over there looking at it.
I have no copy.
I have no copy.
And who asked?
you get a copy?
Somebody asked Joyce to get that response, wasn't it the planning board that asked her to get that?
Yeah, Dory asked her to get that.
I feel very comfortable with the answer that you have. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a different answer, and if you do get a different answer, what opinion are you going to go with? Are we going to stop there and go to another lawyer because we didn't like that opinion? It just doesn't make any sense. But that's just my opinion.
All right, that's fine.
Well, that's not a consensus
That's
of
not
the
the
board.
consensus
That's
of the
not
board,
consensus,
Jane.
that's just my opinion.
We're just talking here now, Jane. We got to wait till there's 5 selectmen here.
Did that consensus that came from the response that came from local government Senate cover the 2 RSAs and clearly state that?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
No, and I couldn't print it because the computer downstairs is hung up on Avatar.
Must be on a Google Drive then, right? No, I'll bet it's not.
Does somebody have a copy tonight of that, or?
The RSAs,
No, the response from the attorney.
is that the file?
No, this is, this, I believe, is School Street, right?
Okay, so that's not the,
Is this the School Street file? I bet it's in there.
I bet it's in there.
I don't remember the 2. One is in the powers and duties of the planning board, and I think the one that talks about logging is in the forestry.
Street, Manville Road.
That's sitting beside my bed, that's my bedside
the,
studying.
He realizes that we're not saying he can't log, right?
No.
You can log all you
You're talking
want.
about the logger on 132? The logger on 132 is of the opinion that we're trying to control his logging operation. And that's not what we're doing. That's why we're allowed
Yeah.
to go forward with the wetlands, is, we don't care what you do as far as logging, just don't do
I
it in the
don't think he
wetlands.
understands that
I don't
we're
either.
fine with the logging. We
There's a
have nothing to do
letter-
with that.
There's a letter in the to be signed folder to the property, on the intent to cut, the signatures on the intent to cut for one of these.
It should be the one on Philbrook. That's probably the one that's in the file now to be, I think that's the intent to cut that needs to be signed.
When we sign that. We can't hold up an intent to cut if somebody hasn't filed for the permit.
I didn't think you had signed it yet.
We can only hold it if they have failed to pay yield or property taxes.
Is that the letter, Penny?
No, this says town officials cannot enter private property unless they have the permission of the landowner, and preferably that permission should be in writing. In the absence of obtaining permission, the landlord, town officials can apply for an administrative search warrant pursuant to RSA 595B. Administrative search warrants are issued by a judge of the Circuit of Superior Court. An administrative search can be issued only upon showing a probable cause supported by affidavit. Probable cause will exist if the town can offer evidence that there is probable cause to believe that the condition of nonconformity exists with respect to the particular place, dwelling, structure, premises, vehicles, records. The affidavit must describe the place, dwelling, and so on and so forth. And in this instance, the code enforcement officer cannot enter the property in question to determine wetlands violation unless the landowner grants permission or an administrative search warrant is issued.
You have to be a wetland scientist to do it.
And this is answer to the question, good morning, can you please provide statutory references on when town officials, i.e. selectmen, conservation commissions, planning board members, code enforcement officers, health officers, et cetera, can enter onto private property without or without the property's owner permission? Specifically, if the code enforcement has received a complaint of a zoning, logger may be entering wetlands buffer without a planning board conditional use permit, which is required by a town. And that was the answer on that they can't.
The health officer can.
Well, it says you can't.
Health officer can. If there is a suspicion that the water is being polluted.
This is legal counsel.
The law is very clear. I have a copy of it and I gave it to Joyce.
Okay.
If there is a suspicion, just an inkling on the health officer's part, that a body of water is being polluted, the health officer can go anywhere except inside a building without permission, pretty much. Although, I always knock on the door.
So Jane's waiting for an answer.
Well, I'm looking to see if we find the, here is Attorney Sanderson's response.
Oh, good, what are the RSAs?
I'm going to have to read backwards now. This is two legal inquiries. Good morning. The Planning Board requests your opinion on the following. RSA 674:1, 6, VI, I guess that's 6. In general, the Planning Board may be given such powers by the municipality as may be necessary to enable it to fulfill its functions, promote municipal planning, or carry out the purpose of this title. Such powers shall not include regulating timber harvesting operations that are not part of a subdivision application or development project subject to site plan review under this chapter. The Tilton zoning ordinance currently requires a conditional use permit from the planning board prior to conducting a logging operation within through a wetland. We would like your opinion as to whether or not a logging operation would be subject to site plan review under this chapter. Our planning board has not required logging operations to undergo site plan review in the past, but the above language specifically references site plan review under this chapter. So if you limit the scope to what is defined within the RSA chapter, you are led to 674:43, power to review site plan. A municipality having adopted a zoning ordinance as provided in RSA 674:16, and where the planning board has adopted subdivision regulations as provided in RSA 674:36, may, by ordinance or resolution, further authorize the planning board to require preliminary review of site plans and to review and approve or disapprove site plans for the development or change or expansion of use of tracts for non-residential uses or for multifamily dwellings which are defined as structures containing more than 2 dwellings, whether or not such development includes subdivision or re-subdivision of the site. Based on this, one could say that a timber operation could be subject to site plan review as it constitutes a non-residential use, but such logic would render the last sentence of 674:1 VI meaningless, as all timber harvests are non-residential. Thus, it seems impossible for that to have been the intent. To add to our confusion, as part of the logging intent to cut process, NHDES requires that the property owner logger to submit a wetlands minimal impact forestry notification form. The form specifically states you are not working in a municipality designated prime wetland or prime wetland buffer or in a bog, marsh, or undisturbed tidal buffer zone. Please note that Tilton does not have any prime wetlands designated by town ordinances, nor is there any listed on the state website for Tilton. Also, the form states you are cutting timber for forest management purposes only and not for current or future development. I have attached a copy of that form for your information. I've also attached the Tilton zoning ordinance requiring to obtain a conditional use permit for logging operations and have highlighted the pertinent sections that pertain to logging. In summary, is the town's authority to require timber harvesters working in a wetland to obtain a conditional use permit preempted by state law? Sorry that request is so lengthy. If you have any questions, call me. So, Joyce, the attachments did not come through, but normally this is not a site plan issue. Instead, I assume, this is bad news when a lawyer says I assume. Instead, I assume that zoning ordinance contains a section about wetlands protection and buffer zones. It is that section adopted under the town's authority to adopt innovative land use controls in accordance with RSA 674:21, which give the planning board its authority to review this proposed cutting and grant a conditional use permit. The site plan review authority is entirely different type of authority and does not include the possibility of granting a conditional use permit. The legislative enacted the cited provision in RSA 674:1 because there were some planning boards that wanted to regulate the cutting of every tree on every parcel, even though the owner had no subdivision or non-residential use in mind. The section clarified the board's jurisdiction in such instances. Here, there may be jurisdiction because the town enacted a wetland preservation ordinance as an innovative environmental control, and there is a risk that this harvest will impact protected lands and water quality. If the cut were outside of the protected areas, the board would have no ability to look at this issue. Sincerely.
So we have no protective area, none listed, protective areas, right? You know what they just said?
Right.
None listed.
Well,
What's the question?
it says, and it's their risk will impact protected lands. We don't know that they're going to impact protected lands. We do know that there are wetlands in the area of where they're cutting
And we won't know that.
And we won't know that
Forestry deeds.
until they do a conditional use. So
Well,
how do you do that?
because well, there are two brooks that cross this property on 132. If they are going to cross them, they will have to file a notification with Department of Environmental Services. So that will be the trigger to tell us that they in fact intend to cross those two brooks.
All right, that'll trigger the state.
Well, you know, I don't, for me personally, I'm not familiar with all that's gone on in the timber cutting and the rules and regulation or the zoning. So this is the first time I've read this here. I'm more confused now than I was before we did that.
He's basically saying what I said in the beginning. I don't think the intent of the RSA is to keep me from going out and cutting down a tree on my property. He's saying the reason the RSA was enacted in the first place because some towns wanted to control
Right.
Joe going out and cutting down whatever.
Which is what I'm interpreting that to be. So I'm not familiar with the situation,
I think we're
and I'm
fine.
more confused than before. So,
I think it's semi-clear. I was on the
Semi-clear.
planning board, and my understanding is that if he says he's not crossing a stream, we have no jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Right.
Pure and simple.
If he's not required to file with DES,
With the state.
then he doesn't need to file with
Does not
us.
need to file with us.
And that would be his answer, right?
If we should learn later on he didn't file the proper permit, we could respond accordingly.
And if he has to file with DES,
Yeah,
and he doesn't file with us, he's in violation.
Right,
then we would deal with it appropriately.
okay.
But
And they will go out there and check him.
so is
I
the
have no
consensus, what's the consensus of the board granting the planning board's request to seek legal
I say no.
clarification?
I say
You say no.
We have a legal
No.
opinion, and I agree with
No.
it.
Agreeable.
Catherine?
I think at this time, until he has indicated by the notification that he's going to be crossing wetlands, I say no.
Consensus is
No, okay.
4-1, no. Take that back to the planning board. If they have an issue with that, they can all come.
Yes.
If in fact he is crossing wetlands and he still refuses, are you comfortable with the answer we got from Sam?
Yes.
Which is,
Yeah.
Fine.
We're not interfering with his logging operation. Our only concern is the pollution, destruction, contamination of the brook. And here, let me read you, as I said, about health officers. May, upon reasonable information, personal knowledge, or belief, in order to safeguard public health or to prevent pollution of any aquifer or body of water, enter upon private property, but not into any living quarters, to investigate and, if necessary, take appropriate action to prevent further pollution.
Throw yourself in the brook.
so you're going to say that you think that's being polluted and
Well,
logged
and
in?
that's what happens to the brook, yeah, and that's exactly what happens to the brook.
Well, if they're driving through the brook, that's a pretty good indication
Yeah.
that
It's being polluted.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And then, see, here's 128:5, a health officer or town and health officer shall not be guilty of criminal trespass
Oh, that
when conducting an investigation
Very
of private
patient.
property without consent of the owner, regardless of whether or not the property is designated as secured premises. But I do,
What RSA is that?
it's 128. That was 128.5, and I think 6 or 7.
Okay.
But as I say, I always try to let them know I'm there.
Okay. Just an FYI and possibly a decision next week. Well, actually, maybe a decision this week. The senior center roof is being done.
They're putting tar paper on it.
They're
Some
putting
kind
tar
of
paper on it. The snow shield that was on there was the culprit in the leak. It was very
I talked to him yesterday.
inexpensive way to do it. He highly suggests that we do the heat tape, and he's asked the electrician for an estimate. When the electrician came today, there is a setup in the breaker for the heat tape, but when I said, but none has been, wired. Maybe they had thought about it, but they never did it. We do not have to replace the plywood. There's a couple pieces that corners have come up because they were not nailed properly, and he's fixed that. That one might outweigh the cost of the other for the heat tape, but it may come to $100 or $200 more than the estimate. But he'll let me know definitely on Monday
I'd go with the heat tape,
I'd go with the heat tape too.
especially
because
with that flat section of roof and
Pretty
whatnot.
flat.
it's a very low pitch roof,
Do,
right?
so,
And it all builds up in the back, and he's done the insulation already. It's up to like an R60 now.
properly vented underneath it, or is it?
Yes.
lack of room?
And we have gutters on that end too to go in. But it came down the overhang, and it built up, and then it went down the wall, and so it pushed the wall out. So he hasn't repaired the inside, and he's doing the ceiling now, so that, probably finish that up in a couple of days, but now's the time to decide the heat tape, so I don't have a firm estimate on what it's gonna be, because he's gonna give it to me Monday, so I can't tell you.
Is it going to hold him up if we wait until next Thursday to make a decision? Or could we make a motion that would allow you to expend, say, no more than $300 beyond the original estimate?
We could do that, and then it won't hold us up, because I think he's working Friday and Saturday on it to finish it up.
I would hate to have it cost more because we haven't acted.
I would not want to have to open it up.
Fix it again next year?
No,
You don't want to do that.
What?
fix it again next year.
I don't want to,
Cost effective.
that's a huge investment in that kitchen right now that I would hate to lose.
Seems like a couple $100 is cheap insurance on keeping ice dams off the edge. and-
I'll
Sure.
make that,
I'll
Catherine made that in a form of a motion, Catherine.
I'll second it.
John seconded it.
Discussion?
Discussion?
I think you're going a little bit too lowball on that. I would go to $500.
For heat tape on that short section of roof?
You talking about electrical work?
So we should make it not to exceed 500?
That's what I would do.
I would amend my motion to reflect
I have
that.
no clue, so.
Well,
No, neither.
We have $500 worth of plywood that we're not using in the budget that will offset some of it. So I'm not sure what you want to do.
So are you amending your second?
I don't have, I didn't second.
John,
John?
I don't know how much heat tape is, and I do know how much electricians are.
I'm just saying,
Say
the
them the other way, if
electrician,
not,
he
let's-
tape, so,
Yeah.
Under discussion, my part of the discussion would be, I wouldn't discuss the fact that you had a $500 budget prior to asking him how much it is. Because if he knows you got $500, I'm guessing it's gonna come in around $500. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
Ask him how much it is, and if
Actually, he
said
offered that to me.
250 or 300, that's one thing. But I wouldn't right out of the gate say, oh yeah, I got $500 to spend.
Well,
Because then
we'll-
it'll be $500.
Then let's go back to the original motion, not to exceed 3. I just think that we should get her done, and if you hold up a contractor sometime,
No, no.
that bill can go
The
ching,
five,
ching,
the
ching.
5 is, if it costs that, if that's what it costs, that's what it costs. I just wouldn't discuss it with him in advance.
We'll bid it out
Ask
if
him
it's
how
going to be
much it
5.
costs. Because he knows we're on a budget, and hopefully it's gonna
I'll
be,
stick with the original motion of 3, not to exceed $300 beyond the estimate.
you think that'll cover it, Catherine?
That's fine?
I don't know. I haven't a clue. How much does usually heat take? Couple $100?
many feet?
Probably back end of that.
Heat tape's gotten
40 feet?
expensive.
About 40
40 feet.
for the back.
Tops.
Tops. I would say 30 maybe.
And
$10 a
he's saving money.
foot seems like that would be reasonable.
And he's,
And then
It seems,
how far
but
is the breaker box from?
about,
In front of the building.
no, in the back, in the maintenance room.
In 20 feet?
So
oh
about,
no, it's only 4 or
30.
5 feet from where the D-tape would be.
no, he has to put an electric box underneath the overhang, so you can hook, you can,
So he's going to run a line from the fuse box to the electric box and then tie the heat tape into the electric box.
right,
$500.
that's what has to happen.
It
goes from the-
Credit from plywood.
From
If it's
the,
going to be that much, hire an electrician, we'll bid it out. It's good, do the 300 and find out next week if we can't do it.
Besides which, anything $500 or more has to go out for a bid. So $500 would probably be a bad figure to put on, because that's in violation of our
499.
499 is not.
499.
So now where does that leave us?
Well, if you
He'll
want to
figure out how to
bid,
do it for that price.
It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, he would.
Well, next week we'll come back. Talk about it.
all right, a motion is in place in a second.
For $300.
Right.
Okay.
Above the estimate. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, we'll go from there. We got the loggers, details, we want to talk about, we have an ordinance in place for the general public here. We have an ordinance in place that if there's utilities or contractors working in our roads, they must call the PD for a detail. There was a situation this morning where Liberty's utility called Dennis Allen, let him know that they were going to be working on Prospect Street today, but they called yesterday morning. Dennis told them that they needed to call the police department and get a detail, because that's in our town ordinance. And they never did, but they knocked on the door. They started digging it around 7:30, and they knocked on the PD's door around 8:30, saying that they had to get in and do the work because there was a leak. Well, the leak's been there for about 20 years, and they're just updating all these less than
But it
emergency.
sounds like an emergency.
Right.
Gas leak.
So, we went over and spoke with them and closed it down until they got a detail, because it needs a detail. And we have the contact person, they were waiting for the contact person to bring up some supplies so they could fix the leak. Meanwhile, there's this huge hole in the road, and they had flaggers there. I really do believe this is not the first time that this has happened in the past with Liberty's Utilities, and I think that they should be charged the entire day for details, and we also have a fine. That's my personal opinion. they violated the ordinance. And the reason that they gave to Officer Kid Keeler was that it just slipped her mind. But obviously, she knew about it, it slipped her mind.
Or our wallet. Oh, I mean,
This happened a
Yes,
couple
I-
times before?
This has happened in the past.
I
Chief,
would charge him for the day
it's happened in the past with Liberty's Utilities.
and send him
I'd
a,
have to find out which person, like which crew, but it sounds like it has.
I mean, the same company, I think if
They should know.
they should know.
They should know.
Policy.
I would charge him for the entire day and send him a strongly worded notification that by our ordinance, this, and it's like the ordinance, and any future problems of this nature will incur the fine.
We charge, what, 4-hour increments?
Yes.
So had they done it right, they would have had somebody there for the 8 hours?
4 hours.
For just 4?
They were actually going to do two places in Tilton. Did we find out where the other place was? Because tomorrow they might be there.
Yeah, not that I know of. I'll have to check when I get out of here. I don't.
I've seen him
I don't think
before
they do.
blocking the road without details.
Text Brian and see if he got that information.
I mean, from the second they started work until work was concluded, they should have been paying for a detail. So I
Yes.
think that's
They have
proper.
300 locations. They're doing Manchester in next week. They have Laconia the week after, and then they just finished up Concord. So they're not serious leaks, but they're going in and fixing them. They have 2 in Tilton. So tomorrow, there's probably going to be another one that they haven't contacted anyone, to our knowledge, yet.
What's the fine for that? It's like
What is-
$25, $50?
No, it's 250, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 250.
Well, if it's repeated, I think that's what you have to do.
Catherine does.
First time you should. Good company. They're the same guys, right?
you've done it 3 times.
Failure to comply with our ordinance will result in a fine of whatever it is.
All right. Looks like you're packing up. Do you need to tell us anything before you go?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just anxious, that's all.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So, does it all agree that that the chief charges the 8 hours?
Yes.
Yep.
Do we send a strong letter
Oh,
to
yeah.
this?
Cite the ordinance and the fine, and this is not the first time, but it is the last.
Yes.
Do you want it come from the
Nothing
chief, or do you want
personal.
it come from the Board of Selectmen?
Well, I think that the Board of Selectmen, whoever writes it, should sign it with the chief.
You want to put our name on it, too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will. I'll have to
And then we'll sign it?
Yep.
Okay.
And tell them what's Ariel. And I'll just Captain Crunch. Just saying, I'm getting tired.
What's it? Tiger one? Okay. John, do you have anything for us?
No, just that the meeting for the Conservation Commission is going to be in the trail in the Selectmen. all three.
Yes, all of us,
Will be-
Tuesday night,
The 6th?
Concom?
right.
Tonight,
And
whatever day it is.
it's Tuesday, June 3rd, 6:30
Sunday's the
Tilton.
first, yeah.
at Town Hall. Right here. And we posted it as a Selectmen's meeting, just in case we decide we're going to make a decision.
Okay.
Apparently, there are some things that Conservation Commission is not aware of, and there's some things that Selectmen aren't aware of, and there's some things that Winnipesaukee River Trail are not aware of from us, so we're going to get that all ironed out.
Good.
We'll get our
hopefully.
right foot forward on that one.
But Concom is running the meeting. We're just,
Be there if you're going to make it.
I don't have to run
And
it.
that's
Good.
it.
That's it. Thank you, God.
Interviewing somebody new for the Budget Committee, which will be the second Wednesday at the Public Works Garage this time. Going to be visiting with Dennis.
What time is that, John?
There'll be 7
7.
PM.
Public Works.
That would be on the 11th.
Is that what day it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the new person's coming.
The new person's going to be there.
They get sworn in?
They haven't been to one yet, and
They haven't, the Budget Committee hasn't decided yet. They invited her.
Oh, this is
Not
like
official
a
yet.
trial.
Yeah.
See how you like it. What do you think,
meet the
kind
new
of?
person.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Do you have the to-be-signed folder?
There was one other question I had on the check register. We're still paying a high electric bill at the park,
Which one?
132. $118?
132?
What exactly is running over
I mean,
there?
it's been running between 100 and 150 a month.
The pump isn't on. I know, I checked. There's lights.
Streetlights.
Yeah,
But-
there's floodlight, I mean, there's lights there that, you know,
But they haven't been using the field at night, so,
but the lights go on and off if somebody's walking out there, because there has been vandalism.
So motion.
The
so
motion
if
lights.
if a raccoon waddles across the field, we're subject to maybe it going off?
No, they'd have to go closer to the light, but I'd be hard pressed to think that motion lights would send the light bill up that high.
Like, for
So would
instance,
I.
yeah, we got Vest Pocket Park, $24 for lights. We've got, there's something not
Those are lit every night, and
right. And if we need a light, we could pay for one
They
of
haven't changed
the
the
rental
dates.
street lights. I think there's a special fee for that. You pay, they just slap one up and it's, $20 a month or whatever. But it doesn't seem right. Like Main Street lighting, $14. For
Plan to start on March 15th.
$15 RFP
And then
pump,
by May 15th.
so can that
$14.
be
Island
part-
electricity was only $14, but we're paying between $100 and $150 a month at ball field.
That's wrong.
Something's-
That's got to be wrong somehow. Can we bring that up at the next parts
Can we,
meeting,
I
Kathy?
did bring it up to them that something was up, and we all sat there, and Peter had checked the pump as well as myself.
Yeah.
where's the meter?
The meter is behind and in between the two buildings.
Maybe we should be contacting, is there a refrigerator in one of the buildings? Or- But even that-
Probably.
That should
in-
be unplugged, and everything should be off in the snack shack.
Yeah, it should.
I mean, I can go over there and actually count the lights. I don't know what else I didn't sign.
That's a
Well,
lot.
if you look at the meter and it's running
I don't think I use that in my
in the
house.
day, something's wrong.
Yeah, I don't use that much in my house.
I'm coming to live with you.
But we should definitely investigate that. That's
Mr.
like
White's
$1,100,
here.
$1,200 a year or
Left the
better,
light on.
and it shouldn't be that much.
Well, they haven't used the scoreboard. Which one is it? Oh, you look through here.
I know it's all about check the meter.
PD, PD.
See if it's running. If it's running today, this evening, there's something
Field is
up with that.
118.03.
Get somebody else's.
That's what I'm wondering, I don't know. I don't think so.
Catherine, may I ask a question on the CDBG? Do we need a motion to adopt these tonight? I know we're signing them, but do we,
Just update.
we're just updating them?
Just update.
Okay.
So everything was updated.
I assumed that my signature was my...
It says, please re-adopt the two documents for the feasibility study.
Well, why don't you make a motion,
There it is.
make it absolutely
So I'll
legal.
make a motion that we re-adopt the conflict of interest document and the code of ethics document for Gaslight Village CDBG feasibility study.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Done.
Not yet.
I certainly hope you're not watering it yet.
Yeah, you can see where it was high in like February and then March.
Well, they
April,
flood
and then
the-
Now it's still
I could understand that maybe they're flooding the area and what have you of the ice rink, but $118 seems like a lot of water pump somehow. There's got to be something else. You're right, John, there's got to be something else. Al says he's going to stop, maybe I'll stop too. I want to see if the meter's running.
Reading, they didn't actually read it, maybe they...
I don't think so, because I don't think it would have gone down. I don't think we would have seen it going down if it was...
Okay, on,
Maybe it should be light enough so that there's nothing over there running.
we have a
Now, they're telling us how many wattages it
wedding on the island. Does this say the island or no?
I think that's Island Park.
No, it doesn't say, Catherine.
Doesn't it say right on the top?
Island Park, okay.
Okay.
On July 19th, who's available to do that?
I am. And I have some experience with having done it.
I'll make a copy of that for you, Joe, and put it in your...
July 19th?
Yep, it's a
Yep.
Saturday.
We have a checklist,
Yeah.
John, that we go out and do for, the 19th is...
Saturday.
Nice.
Florida.
What do we need to do?
When somebody rents the island, we go out that day or the night before, and we meet with them, and we have a checklist to go over, to look at the condition of the island and so on, and then when they leave, we look at the condition it's left in, so they can get the deposit back. So this is for July 19th. Joe's going to actually take this, but if you want to tag along to see how it's done.
Yeah, I went with Sandy the first time, so.
I'm going to put Joe down on this, okay?
Put in what time?
You call the person,
Yeah, I'm gonna call whoever the contact person is and set up a time to meet with them, either the night before if it's in the morning, or that morning if it's in the afternoon, whatever. And then at the end of the function, we go back and do the walkthrough so that, there's no broken picnic tables, they haven't torn the lights down, because there's a deposit involved.
I thank them for fixing everything and painting it and
Yeah, that would be good.
repairing the wall. So
And
it's
we'll be
usually in the
getting-
morning anyway, right?
we'll get more as they come, and some will be last minute and some won't. I refuse to sign
I'm
this
just
one,
right
just
up the
the
street.
way
I can
they,
walk down there.
just by the way they treat all their employees, they let go.
Well, that has nothing to do with their
No, it
fitness
does.
for a liquor license.
Sure does.
I can't find a reason, although I didn't agree with the way they did that.
It's
but
called a moral issue with me.
It's their right as business owners.
34.
Not the way I do business, but it's their right.
The shell, I'm gonna let them go.
I don't believe so.
Well, yes, I talked to them, the shell.
Really?
I talked to the cook. He's my cousin. They don't let go before it was sold.
Well, there you go. Then it wasn't even them. Or maybe that was a condition of sale, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was.
I don't know.
They let go half of them. Do you,
Well, all I know is that their right to conduct their business any way they want. Then people can go there or not, if they
I don't have an
want.
explanation to my question, but thank you.
My decision at all.
I wish them luck. I don't wish anybody ill will. Hope they're successful.
I'm sure they will be. There's plenty of dough behind there, right?
Wow, 367.
all right, I think everything is signed the way, for everybody that said they wanted to sign. I have a question about the GASB 45 report. We spoke to Tim downstairs, and he said he would correct the dates, because it says, we plan to start the engagements on or about March 15th, complete the engagement by May 15th, 2014.
So he's going to correct the dates?
Yeah, but we signed a document that doesn't have the corrections.
Right.
60 kilowatts.
I mean, technically, he's got 3 signatures, but
He said he's gonna fix it, so.
he did.
No, yeah, assumed it was fixed. I didn't even notice the dates.
I'm thinking that,
277.
do you have anything?
No, of course.
Oh, there was one more thing.
Oh, wait a minute, one more thing.
We were going to come up with a minimum amount that we need to get from the Prospect Street. We can do that next week. But at the auction?
We should do that in a non-public,
Yeah.
the minimum amount. So why don't we go into non-public for 5
Why would
minutes?
that
and
be
do the minimum?
non-public information?
Because it will taint the auction.
Now, if they know that there's, that the minimum is this, they might not bid, or
Right.
they won't bid any more than that.
Right,
because-
exactly.
Yeah.
It's past my bedtime anymore.
It's not
No,
dark
we're not
yet.
going into non-public yet. Joe,
Next-
I don't beat it off.
You want to do it next week? Or-
no, she needs that as soon as possible so he can do the postings. That needs to be okayed so that we can go,
Yeah,
so he can put it online.
true. That's ours.
Right.
We'll be armed with the information
Because he
that
only
day.
has 30
We don't have
days.
to accept any
Right
bids
now, it's only 30 days
below
away.
that.
Okay, yeah. I don't have to sign
You
this.
don't have to make a decision today.
No.
Nothing here.
No,
No.
we don't have to sign it now, we're just checking it, but we do have to do a minimum.
I'm sorry.
Want to do a motion to go non-public?
Not yet. Joe's got stuff.
Okay,
7:21.
I go by the house on Church Street on a very regular basis. You know, that just irritates the bejesus out of me. But it looks as though something has happened. I can't quantify that, and it's still a burned-out husk, but it looks like the inside has been like scooped out or whatever. So maybe there's some positive, something positive happening over there. Any news is good news on that property, I think. I was noticing driving around town today that there are several streets that have sand on them. Not that they weren't swept when they were supposed to, but the runoff from rainstorms or what have you, town roads. And I was wondering what is there a supplemental sweeping program? Should Public Works be notified? There's sand in the road that might be an issue, or how does that work? I know we sweep Main Street, or we're going to in July or whatever, but
I think it depends on, for me, it would be depend on how much is there, if it's a hindrance.
well, I'm not talking about
Is it
a
town?
handful of dirt. We're talking about sand.
Is it
on-
town or state?
Oh, no, it's a town road. If it
What
was a
road?
state road, I wouldn't, Hill Road.
Oh, Hill Road.
You go,
That should have a lot of sand on it.
should
But
have.
no, it doesn't.
now.
They
It
bought
really
it.
doesn't. They swept it, and there was some pine needles on it, but as I went around the curve, I came in on the Winnisquam side and went through, and as you come around the curve to hook back into Route 3, where the water comes down from the rains and whatever, it washed all this sand out in the road.
Oh.
And it's on the corner, so if I'd been riding a motorcycle and hadn't been paying attention, those things are just like ball bearings. Knock the bike right out from underneath you. Now, this is early on in the year, and I can only imagine by July that's going to get worse. I just wondered how we approach that.
I just let him know because he usually monitors those things.
Right. He can go up and actually take the corner without having a sweeper go up. He can go out.
Hey, you get a couple guys with brooms, or I don't know, the sidewalk thing has a brush,
Just
or,
let him know that.
okay, I'll let
There's
him
a
know.
couple of places that happen, so.
I'm sure there is, and that was the only one I noticed. I happened to notice that today, so I thought I'd bring that up. And I was informed that there was a list of paving projects, a supplemental list of paving projects for this year that included Clark and Colby Road. Now, I haven't yet to be able to find this on the DOT website or on Channel 9, where,
Find that.
They notified the sewer department April, God, I'm going to say 23rd, and asked, the notice came from Concord, not from District 3, and the question was, do you have any, sewer in the road that they might disturb? That's the only notification that I can find.
Haven't heard any other thing from any other body, but the resident that discussed this with me was concerned about the bond from town meeting, and, yeah, it's like, I assured him that no bond has been signed or even contemplated at this point, and I didn't even know that the roads were going to be paved.
When we met with Joe Kenny and Commissioner Clements at the Tilton Diner at 7
missed that one.
a.m.,
Early to rise.
7 a.m.,
Marty, over there.
Commissioner Clements told us and had a list of what the gas tax monies were paying for.
Yep.
And the increase when they went to the 4 cents.
Yeah.
What projects would be happening in Tilton. They are going, to my knowledge, what he said was that they were shimming a portion, a small section of Colby Road. They are resurfacing a small section of East Main Street. They are resurfacing, I'm sorry, not shimming, a section of Route 311 up to Grant Street, so it's like in front of the police station, a very short section. And I said, well, what about Clark and Califf? Califf, out of a different pot of money, is having the work done
On the ledge,
on
right?
the ledge where that protrusion is coming out, where the school bus has to go on.
Yeah.
That is just a Band-Aid.
Now, I knew that was coming.
From my knowledge, and I might be wrong, my knowledge on that list was not anything for Clark Road at all.
Well, they said Clark and Colby, so
They're on Clark Road today.
They are. They're cutting back on the sides.
they're doing maintenance?
They're doing cutting on the
Really?
shoulders. Yeah.
Well, I think that our councilman maybe has lit a fire in Concord. They've never been doing it before.
Those are the only projects that the state has announced that they're going to have, and I shouldn't say this out loud, but I believe Commissioner Clements was sending Joyce a list of exactly what he gave us, but the print was so small, you needed...
Yeah, I was noticing that on the computer. There's a big, long list of stuff, and there was like 300 on a page.
Right.
It's hard to tell, but...
But our project, during that time, I told him that we were talking about the road and explaining to Councilman Kenny that we probably would have joined and kept our warrant article to Califf, Clark, and Colby and Winter had they allowed us not to take over the road after the project. And Commissioner Clements looked at me like I had no idea what we were talking about. When we were in Concord, his assistant told us no way could we be in the program without taking over the roads.
Yep.
And so the two of them met eye to eye when I said that, and they exchanged this
Funny look.
and looked at me, so I said, I don't think they knew what they were talking about, but
Well, I sat right beside the commissioner, and he was talking about we take over the roads, and maybe we could go 80-20 instead of 70-30.
well, that is on the
but-
table. Joe Kenny was bringing that back to the executive council to vote on that and support Tilton in
I
the
was
80-20.
speaking with Councilman Kenny, and he did, the Department of Transportation is a special interest of his, and he promised me that he was going to try to help us out with the Silver Lake Road and Clark, Colby, Winter, Califf, and he was going to find out why and how, and hey, they're doing summer maintenance on the road. My goodness. Hallelujah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But as I told the gentleman who called me, when there's asphalt on those roads and I can drive down them, I'll believe it then. Speaking of roads, There is several trucks that go chugging by my house every day, go right down off of Route 3 onto Silver Lake. They make a left-hand turn onto River Road, and they park and they fill up their trucks with water.
Yep.
Those trucks weigh in excess of 80,000 pounds when you fill them up with water. They're beginning to tear up the roads. Now, do we have a weight limit? Can we set a weight limit? I care if they,
Nope,
The state road.
those are state roads,
State road.
and we don't own Silver Lake Road. We didn't
no, I
take
know,
that back.
I know,
That's
no, I
theirs.
understand that. I just saw them tearing up the roads and figure that one of those things is like
It says no parking on the road. and it's-
20 or 30 cars, and they're doing it numerous times a day, every day of the week,
All season.
and they do.
I think we could,
What do they do it for? Is it
Oh,
construction?
swimming pools,
swimming
wells.
pools, they do it for.
They do it for wells, too. They fill up wells that
Go
dry
down there,
up.
fill up with water to wet down construction sites.
They do it for all sorts of reasons, and the water they
They
can
have to have
have.
a permit from DES to do it.
Yep, yep, but the load limit, the road, Silver Lake Road is one thing, it's fairly well constructed, and they completely redid it, and it's doing okay, but they're unloaded when they come down Silver Lake Road, and then they go over onto River and load up, and River and Church are taking the brunt of this. River and Church won't last anywhere near as long as if they weren't doing it.
What is the weight limit?
There isn't,
That's my question.
state road.
There you go.
88,000 pounds on the state road.
It says no parking on the road, they park.
Well, that's an issue,
As soon as they sit on the side, if they're just driving,
yeah.
it's not half as bad as when they stop on the edge of the road.
On the shoulder.
Fill up on the shoulder, and it goes, doot, doot, doot.
Yeah, yeah.
It goes the road every time.
Should I speak with Mr. Allen and find out, he's our Public Works guy, see what he knows about this, or who to ask, or something?
It's been going on for all these years. It's been going on forever.
That doesn't mean that, they did lots of things, what you'd say forever, they had slavery for hundreds of years, and it doesn't make it
Nothing the
right.
town can do to change anything. It's a
DOT
state
is the
road,
ones that take
it's
care
a
of it.
state river,
Don't we post a load limit on some of our roads?
but those aren't our roads.
I've seen load limits on Silver Lake in the spring.
Posted by New Hampshire Department of Transportation.
There is no more load.
Those were when they closed the roads, road ban weight limits.
Well, it would seem like our state representatives would be a good place to
We
start.
put a load limit on Winter Street.
No, we didn't. State of New Hampshire did.
No, it's off.
No, it's off. We put load limits
I
on,
thought Dennis put those signs
no,
up.
we put them on Peabody and the connector streets. We put them on our roads. We put them on Manville, those kind of
I
roads.
could see 88,000 pounds on the highway maybe, but some of these back roads, they're just not built for that.
We might think of sending a letter to DOT and CCing DES and letting them know that under the circumstances where this road was just done, it remains a state Class 2 road that, and considering the traffic that the state of New Hampshire Department is allowing on this road,
They pay to take that water out of there.
they do pay them. There's a fee
They
involved
pay
with
to
it.
take that water. They're not gonna stop.
That-
Take-
Yeah, well, they pay DES, that's good, not going to DOT. DOT's got to fix the road.
Off 140, where they
Well,
go back
in theory.
down there, just past the Holiday Inn,
Boat ramp.
little boat ramp. Send them over there.
But just letting them know that, we're making a note of this, that they're destroying the road, and since they're allowing the destruction, that we wouldn't be looking to enter into any type
We'll
of,
have Joyce make that up when we,
And it seems like
Something.
if we notice that
I
it's
agree with
happening,
that.
we should say something early, because 3 years from now, when the road is all
Destroyed.
well, we told you.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's it for me. Wow. Short and semi-sweet, just like the chocolate.
Isn't it frustrating with those trucks, though?
I understand the water, and they could take it out of the public, and they pay for it,
Yep.
but they're killing the roads. Those trucks are huge.
There's got to be another place that they could take it out of
You would think,
Route 3 someplace else.
but that's actually a very convenient place for the trucker.
Sure.
Because there's not a whole lot of traffic on that road. He's got a little place to pull off. It's quiet, and birds are chirping.
I make a motion, we go into any more business to come before us in a public setting? I'll make a motion, we go into non-public as per RSA 91A:1. The sale of property.
Second.
Whatever that is.
You missed it.
Are we going to forego approving minutes until next week?
Oh, yeah, we didn't do minutes.
Well, are we going to do the I thing, or did we do it and I missed
Wait a
it?
minute, hold on.
There's a motion on the floor.
It's not like we have any public here, so whether we do it now or after the non-public.
We can just look over the minutes after non-public. Okay, roll call vote.
Yeah,
Aye.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
No.
May I motion to seal the
Why not?
minutes of the
Remove my
non-public?
motion. I'd make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to the sale of town property until such property has been sold.
Second.
And we'll do minutes next week?
Yes.
All right.
You got,
Somebody gotta say aye. Aye.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Damn you. Second.
All those in favor?
What would you say? Motion to adjourn.